Hi everyone, welcome to today's edition of I Have a Voice's Autumn of Advocacy. Today we're going to be joined by Hannan Sarwar. Hannan is a town councillor and he serves Wilmslow Town Council. And for those of you who don't know where Wilmslow is, it's in a beautiful part of the country. It's in Cheshire, which is just south of Manchester. And Hannan was elected to Wilmslow Town Council in 2019 at the age of 18, making him one of the youngest councillors in England. To give this some context, the average age of a councillor in England is 59, and a whopping 45% of local councillors have already retired. So we're absolutely delighted that Hannan joined the local council and is giving this youth voice. In Hannan's own words, he is driven by a desire to bring about real change, and he uses his platform to speak up for those who are not heard, which is very in keeping with I Have a Voice's mission. So without further ado, let me bring Hannan into the conversation. Bear with me one moment whilst I bring Hannan. Hi everyone who's joining. Hi Carla. Hi Laurie.
Hi,
Hi Hannan.
you okay?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm glad this worked my first time doing Instagram Live.
Yeah, it was the first time we tried it on our first interview, and so far so good. So I wondered if we could start at the very beginning, and you could tell us about when and why you first got involved in politics.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Hannan. I'm now 19 years old. I was elected last year when I turned 18 to Wilmslow Town Council. So I've been actively involved in politics for quite a while now, since about 2016, with the very contentious B word, Brexit, is when I started getting involved in politics. And I decided that I wanted to actually make a change and try and make a change in my local community and the wider public. So I decided to stand for a local council. I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would actually be elected and have the great pleasure of serving my fantastic constituents in Wilmslow. But I was elected about 15, 16 months ago now, and it's been a fantastic journey. Definitely a very interesting experience as well. And I'll really briefly explain my role as a councillor as well, because to be absolutely honest, I had no idea what I was stepping into. So I always tell everyone, you're going to you're going to get involved in local government, and make sure you know what you're going to get involved in. So as a town councillor, I have various different responsibilities. I sit on a few committees. So when I was first elected, I sat on the planning committee, and due to university commitments, I decided that going into my second year of a law degree, it wasn't feasible to continue on planning. So I stepped aside. But in the year I did do planning, I would receive planning applications about 3 times a month. We would then review them as a local council, be it housing applications, business applications, making sure the applications that come in are in line with government guidelines and all sorts of fantastic and crazy policies. So it was great pleasure, lots and lots of reading. So dealing with planning applications, which was a very big role. The second committee I sit on and I do currently serve on is the finance committee. So we all pay something fantastic called tax. We all give a little bit of money every month to the government through our taxes. And so that is council expenditure. So we have to assess where your taxpayers' money is spent. So we have something I absolutely really enjoy about being a councillor and gives me great pleasure is that the council can do grant applications for local charities and schools and educational groups. So we're able to do, as a local council, review how money is spent, allocate a budget. Very stressful every time, making sure that we're spending responsibly, but also delivering what we need to do. And so, as I was mentioning earlier, part of grant applications. So we get to look at some fantastic local community groups that really that do amazing work, and the council are able to fund. So one of my most favourite and enjoyable parts of being a councillor is actually the grant applications on the finance committee. The third committee I sit on is community and order. This is to deal with everything from policing to the local fire service to local community events, community lightings, and so it ranges from getting litter bins to clean up chewing gum, to inviting the police inspectors to the council meetings and ask them what they are doing and dealing with them concerns in our local community. So as a local councillor, I deal with a wide range of things, from litter on the roads to council budgets, but it's an absolutely fantastic job. And I was able to, when I got elected, I was able to attract quite a bit of attention and able to do various different other things. So I've been able to attend on local radio and local media a fair bit, and national media, talking about a wide range of topics and making sure the youth have a voice in politics.
What are the main, I've got some other questions I would address, but just picking up on what you just said, what are some of the main issues that you have used your platform to speak up on, and that you would have spoken about, no doubt, to get elected?
Yeah, so I've been able to speak about on, if we talk about national media, I've been able to go on the radio and different TV shows a fair bit. And it depends on what's topical. So I've spoken a lot about Brexit recently. During the 2020 election, we spoke a lot about this oven-ready deal and how to explain to people what the election process is and why should they vote for the Conservative Party. So I spoke about polling on during the Conservative leadership election. There was the big vote about having a snap election, the prorogation of Parliament, all sorts of stuff relating to Brexit. So September to December, it was an absolutely crazy time, talking about a wide range of stuff. And Brexit was a massive contentious issue then. And more recently, I've been able to talk about COVID-19, because COVID-19 has changed the way everything operates, from going into a national lockdown and then having to make a lot of changes in my local community. It was a very interesting and stressful period as well. So I've been speaking about COVID-19 measures, social distancing, testing, and because part of my role as a councillor was when we were setting up COVID hot hubs to allow for testing of patients, and that was a lot. I had to get engaged with local community, work out where we needed testing centres, advise people how to get testing centres, actually help manage testing centres, dealing with because there's at one point you couldn't go out in the parks and those government guidelines weren't very clear, so I had residents very frustrated about parks being closed. And even now that we're emerging out of a national lockdown, but policy is changing towards more local lockdowns, having to be prepared and adapt accordingly. So one thing we've learned through COVID-19, that's technology, is absolutely wonderful. I've been able to engage with hundreds of people via the fantastic Zoom, something we never knew existed until this year, doing constituent surgeries via Zoom, doing media interviews via Zoom, writing in local newspapers, because we had to make sure we were reaching everyone. So during lockdown, I think we delivered a few thousand prescriptions to vulnerable residents, and we had about 800 hours of volunteering done by local volunteers in the local community as well. So it was very, very intense. So I've been able to just generally make a voice for students as well, and making sure social distancing, university, something I'm very passionate about. I'm going back to university next week, and I want to make sure I'm getting value for money and I'm not having to be stuck on online lectures every single day. I want face-to-face interaction and making sure A, the government, and B, the universities are aware that students do have concerns and issues and that we do have a voice and that we should be heard.
That's brilliant. I've noticed a couple of our ambassadors join who are heading to university soon as well, so they will have appreciated hearing that from you. What's really coming across is that you're talking about issues that often people hold ministers accountable and their MPs. Could you give us a really easy explain of when people should get in touch with their MPs and when they should actually get in touch with you, their local council, and kind of how they know who to engage with when?
So one thing I say, your local MP is your point of call when you are struggling with different cases. So I'll give you a few examples. I had a local resident contact me who was suffering with a medical condition and wasn't able to get the hospital to actually cooperate. And that's when I actually referred them to the local MP, because the local MP is then able to lobby hospital executives and the government as well to take action. So your local MP is there to deal with national issues. So when you have a concern, for example, HS2, funding, test, track and trace, educational places, they go to your local MP, because they have the ability to take on casework and they can lobby the government, lobby large organisations to take action. Me, as local councillors in general, are there to help you with local issues. For example, when you have a pothole, I hate the word pothole, the bane of my life. When you have potholes that aren't being repaired, you can go to your local councillor. If you miss bin collection, you can go to your local councillor. If you want community events, go to your local councillor. So anything local that is on a very localised basis, your local councillor is there to help. Anything national is when you go to your MP.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's really helpful explaining. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is that given all of these really important things that local councillors have responsibility for, it's pretty alarming that turnout for local elections is really low. So in 2018, the average turnout for local elections was just 34.7% compared with the general election in 2019, and the turnout was 67.3%. Can you tell everyone who's here and listening now and who will listen later why it's really important that they get out and vote in local elections? And for those listeners who are thinking to vote, if you're not registered or if you're not sure if you're registered, check now, because the next time you'll be able to vote is on the 6th of May next year. So do check that you're registered. Hannan, over to you.
No, one thing I say to everyone is no matter what political party you are from or you support or whatever political leaning you have, we are so lucky we have the ability to vote. We have the democratic right in the UK to have elections, and some countries are unfortunate to have the voting ability. So if you are eligible to vote, please register to vote and make sure you vote. Even if you don't like any political parties, but spoil your ballot. And if you don't want to vote, spoil your ballot, but please do vote. And local elections are very important because you have a voice and you can elect people who so yeah, please, if you're eligible to vote, please vote. And local elections are very important. Local councillors are elected either on a one-term basis or a four-year basis, and they can make a real change. We've got hundreds of local council elections next year. We've got mayoral elections next year, and if you vote in your local elections, you can change the way your local community is run and your local area is run. Councillors have a very important role to play, and it's important we elect people who are going to serve their constituents in the correct way.
That's such a powerful response. Thank you so much. So to the people who tuned in, I have one more question left for Hannan. So if you would like to ask a question, now's the time to type it. So once I've asked the question is responded, I will know if there are any other questions from anyone else. But Hannan, so my last question is, you are an anomaly. 96% of councillors describe themselves as having a white ethnic background. As I said in the intro, the average age of councillors is 59, and 45%, half of councillors are already retired. So in so many ways, you are an anomaly. How do we tackle this lack of diversity, particularly in local politics?
No, and there's no hiding about the fact that local government and government in general isn't diverse. There's a big lack of diverse people in politics, be it from BME backgrounds, students, age. There's loads of different factors that need to be addressed here, and it is so important we get young people involved in politics because they are the future. One thing a lot of students say to me is that they didn't know they can get involved in politics, and they felt they did not have the skills to get involved in local government. And I can tell you from my own experiences, you learn the skills on the job, and we have to do a lot. We have to make a lot of changes to make politics accessible to young people. Eventually, we are the leaders of the future. The people on this call are potential future MPs, future councillors, and you have an ability to make decisions as well. And we need to tackle this. The government needs to be actually say and actually attract people to politics, because unfortunately what most students and young people see of politicians is on social media, and the hate and the abuse they get. It doesn't look very appealing to a lot of people when you see MPs getting death threats or their offices attacked or all that sort of stuff. So we need to make politics more enjoyable and more accessible. And I genuinely think there needs to be more education in the education system about politics. We should be educating students in the curriculum about local government, about councillors, about being MPs, and how the UK constitution actually works.
Here, here. That is exactly what we want to see as well. I have had one question from Cardwell, which is how much engagement do you have with MPs and ministers and other key figures within your political party in your role?
I've been very fortunate in various different ways. So when I was elected in May 2018, I was immediately invited to meet the Prime Minister at that time, Theresa May. I was invited to a reception with the Prime Minister to discuss local politics. And it was quite interesting that Theresa May knew who I was because of my age and local government. So I've managed to get involved in the Conservative Party quite a lot. Yeah, I am a Conservative councillor for those who didn't know. Throughout my time the last year, I've been able to meet a wide range of cabinet ministers, cabinet secretaries, and backbench MPs. Both prime ministers, and somehow was invited to meet the royal family. But I understand that not everyone gets that chance. So if you are involved in politics and you do have a passion, I'll go off the Conservative Party because I'm a Conservative Party member. If you become a Conservative Party member and you believe in Conservative values, you are then invited to meet your local MP through various different events. You're then invited to meet Conservative MPs and potentially cabinet ministers via virtual events or physical events. And I'm pretty sure the Labour Party do the exact same thing. They engage with their membership in various different ways via policy events or meet and greets events. So you have to take the first step and actually, if you want to get involved, actually join your local political party. I know for one fact the Conservative Party is very, very welcoming. It's my second family. I've made some lifelong friends and been able to do a lot of different changes.
That's so great, and thank you for being very non-partisan and speak about your own experience in the Conservative Party, but also politics as well. So we had one question from Anna. Anna asked, she said that you said you were going back to uni. How are you going to juggle and balance going back to uni and your political duties?
Yeah, hi Anna. That was a question I was contemplating for a long time when I was considering standing for council last year. When I stood for council last year, I was actually doing my final A-levels and I was going to be a first-year student at university. So I had to make the big decision: can I actually balance the job of being a councillor and a law student, and plus all the other things I do? And I had to consider myself: can I do my constituents well? Can I be able to do them proud? And I've been able to manage my workload quite well. So I go to Keele University, which is about 45 minutes from where I live in Winslow, and I've been able to manage it quite well. One thing you have to do is have good time management skills. Fortunately for me, my council meetings are in the evenings. They tend to start at 7:30, so I'm able to go to university throughout the day and then do my council commitments in the evening. Yes, it can be difficult, especially during election time and when there's a lot of council agenda items, but it comes with time management skills. Being a student does not stop you from being a councillor. It is manageable, and I know hundreds and thousands of councillors who are either full-time jobs or they do so many different things on top of being councillors. So being a councillor does not have to be your full-time job. You can manage it in your sort of spare time and your voluntary time as well.
Amazing, thank you. That's really compelling for young people who might be thinking they want to get involved, but they're considered about managing lots of different competing demands. We've had a question from Charlotte. Charlotte is one of I Have a Voice's youth ambassadors, and she is working on a campaign around disability confidence, which is all about encouraging employers to make sure that they are aware of how they can employ people who have disabilities. And her question is, are you aware of this thing? Do you know if your local council is a disability confident employer? So brilliant plug there, Charlotte, for the campaign. Well done.
Charlotte, something I'm really passionate about is disabilities. I have an invisible disability. I have a chronic stomach illness. And actually, when I was standing for council last year, I was extremely ill as well. So something I've been working on for a very long time is actually making local politics disability friendly. And also something I'm doing at university is actually making our university more disability friendly. So I'll take it off two different tangents. Disability friendliness. Yeah, I'm aware of, I think it's the Disability Confidence Scheme, and there's various different schemes being rolled out nationally to make sure that local government is also being accessible and disability friendly. In fact, as only last week I was on a very similar event talking to people with disabilities and advising them how they could stand for local council. Again, if you have a disability, it does not hinder you from being a councillor whatsoever. And it's very, very important that local councils are disability friendly. So one thing I'm working with as an organisation is called CISFA UK. They're a local charity organisation that help with disabilities, and something I'm really passionate about is actually helping people with disabilities make sure their town centres are more friendly, making sure that disabled people are not hindered in any way. And the second tangent I was going to go off was about Invisible Disability Society, which we set up at university, combating both invisible and visible disabilities, to make sure that our university is accessible for disabled students as well. So some disability awareness and disability confidence is something that's very high on my agenda, and it's something I'm really pushing about locally and with my conversations with government ministers and MPs as well.
And do you feel like you're making headway? Do you feel like this is a topic that people are open to engaging?
Yeah, disability awareness is something that's a very hot topic currently. A lot of people are aware about it, and I think the government are listening as well. And there's a lot to be done to make sure that we are disability friendly and disabled people are not excluded in any way.
That's really great. That's really great to hear. So before I give Hannan the last word, I have a quick update. For those of you who join later, this will be immediately posted to our Instagram TV channel, so you can watch it in full. Our first interview is now to like 100 views, which is pretty epic. And not next week, but the week after, we'll have another session with not one, but two civil servants. And we'll be speaking to them about what it's like to work in the civil service, but also for those who are advocates and activists like myself and I Have a Voice, we'll be asking them what's the best way to engage with them, what type of information do they like receiving from people, what's useful to receive. So the last words are over to you, Hannan. Could you finish this sentence? I have a voice.
I have a voice, and I'm able to help people make a change in their local community. Just very quickly, I've seen Charlotte's comment. Yes, Charlotte, happy to get in touch and get involved. If you just want to send me a message or an email, and I'll get back to you ASAP. And my sort of final words are to anyone who wants to get involved in local politics, please take the step. If you have any questions, my DMs are open. I'm more than happy to help anyone. If they have any questions about local government or how it works, please do get in touch.
Thank you so much, Hannan, and thank you everyone who joined. That was a brilliant session. Really appreciated you taking time out of your day to talk to us. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Speak to you next time, and thanks so much, Hannan. Bye, everyone.
No problem. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.